Welcome everybody to another beautiful episode of Greeting Mashiach, episode 35. I want to wish everybody a l'chaim. Today, as of the recording of this, is Hey Teves. So,
or what's Hey Teves? We're in between Shkia and Seis.
Right.
Still counts.
Still counts. L'chaim. So, yeah, what are we feeling today? It's very interesting because, I was listening, there was a video of Rabbi Paltiel.
Yes, this is taking the world by a storm. This video of Rabbi Paltiel.
Going viral, as they say. No, so it's just a very interesting video. He's saying how, Pella, that they're chassidim, that they're having a discussion of whether they say tachanun, kapata, all these things. As another conversation about a kapata. But he said something interesting. He said, this is the greatest Yom Tiv for a chassid in the modern day. This is our modern day Yutes Kislev. This is our modern day Yetzias Mitzrayim. Big, explosive, huge holiday. Something big happened today. And it's very interesting because it's it's not very nice to see, by the way, how even in the Welt, not Chabad, Hey Tevis is books,
One of the things I like most about Hey Tevis is you can't say Yat Kislev about it. Just Hey Tevis. It's the same for Achtos. It's the same for everyone. You can Hey Tevis. What are you gonna say? It just occurs to me now as you're mentioning his connection with develop. But yeah, you have Greenfield Judaic as a sale. Art School is a sale right now. This is something that is not limited. But everyone's into Sfarim.
And the Rebbe had a campaign of Bayis Mali Sfarim, and it's amazing that now, in addition to all the other things that all the other Yidden are catching up to Chabad, this also has become a big thing. So obviously this is in the theme of Mashiach. So it's that's Vienatzeach, that I was winning the war. And
100%.
L'chaim, that not only everybody should be on board with Bayis Mali Sfarim and the Mitzvah Tefillin and all these other mitzvahs, but they should be on board with the underlying, what's the word? Not goal, but underlying theme. What's driving us, Mashiach?
So yeah, Hey Tevis is for those who are to the uninitiated need a reminder. It's not about books.
Not about books.
It's about books, but it's so much more. It's about chairs.
Chairs.
One chair in particular.
One.
A metaphorical chair. It's about the bankel. What does that mean? It's about the bankel. There was an individual from the Rebbe's family who, for whatever strange reason that incomprehensible, seeing as he shares no common ground with the Lubavitcher Rebbe, in his own words, what was so crazy? The Rebbe says there's a crazy individual who has a crazy idea that he says that the Friedrich Rebbe, Shein Fin from the Reiseker, 35 years that the Friedrich Rebbe passed away.
Yeah.
To the Rebbe, the notion that the Friedrich Rebbe was a person who lived, accomplished great things and passed away, that notion was so ridiculous, so absurd, so incomprehensible, that there's somebody to say, which seemingly is a normal thing to say. He's a Friedrich Rebbe's grandson. He says he was a great man. He passed away. Can I please have his? So I'd like some of his stuff. And the Rebbe says, "You're insane. Forgive my French over here. What are you saying? You're saying that he passed away? What are you, crazy? That for 35 years, and that's it. He's gone." And we should have, as if this is a regular story, a regular person, a regular individual. You have no clue what's going on. I have zero common ground with you. There's no part of my anything that has any. I don't even know how to talk to you. No common ground. Zero thing on the Venn diagram. No.
Yeah, no common ground.
No common ground. This is. Why? What's so crazy? Yeah.
All right.
And that's because he doesn't understand what's a Rebbe. A Rebbe, and this was what all these sikhs, they're very painful for the Rebbe, but the Rebbe explained. A Rebbe is not just a person. A Rebbe is not just a tzaddik. In the words of the Rebbe, the Rebbe and the Chassidim and the books belong to the Chassidim. The Rebbe is something else entirely. He's so much greater than that. The Rebbe, constant refrain of Friedrich Rebbe is an Asiyadar. He wasn't kidding. Obviously, the Rebbe is the acting Nasi Adar for real on the ground, but everything was always communicating with the Shver. The Shver is actively the one who is feeding Zech with Dar Shvi. We're coming now from Parshas, as of recording this is Sunday, Parshas Vayechi. We're coming out from the story of Yosef and his brothers. We know in Chassidus, the Rebbe talks about this, that the Rebbeim are going through the Midas. And Yosef, the Rebbe makes this comparison that Yosef is the Yosef Shebet Adenu, that Yosef is Yisaid. Yosef is the one who is giving the power, says the Rebbe, to Melech HaMashiach. And this is very interesting because usually the Rebbe keeps up the, if you want to call it the charade, or a kaviyachal of the Friedrich Rebbe's Nasi Adar and the Friedrich Rebbe's Mashiach and all that. And in Vayigash, Tafshin and Bey is something very interesting. I was learning it this year. The Rebbe says very clearly that the Friedrich Rebbe, the Nasi Adar, the Chak Mechadmur, he is the Yosef Shebet Adenu, who gives the koyach and the power to Mashiach to do his job, Mashiach. And this is something you don't really find anywhere. The Rebbe just he lets go of the he let the sin of what he's really trying to say the whole time, because it fits right into the parsha that Yosef, there's Yosef and Yehuda. That's what the whole sikha, the whole story is about. It's about Yosef and Yehuda. Yosef is you look in the Haftarah, at the end of the day it says the David Avdi Nasi Lahem L'Olam, that David is the one, David's dynasty, the dynasty of King David of Mashiach. He's going to be the one at the end of the day who's going to be the only king of the Yidden. And Yosef is there to help. And if you learn a little bit of Kabbalah, a little bit of Chassidus, you know how it works. That Yosef is Yisoid, the sixth meter, which is the connection, who's connecting to Malchus, who's the Makabal, in this case, who's receiving from all of the higher spheres, and that's the connection between Yisoid and Malchus. This is really the connection. If you learn Kabbalah, you know all about it. This is Chassidus. This is the big connection between Zah and Malchus, between Yisoid. That's all represents all of the spheres and Malchus, kingship. So this is the Rebbe and the Friedrich Rebbe. And this is why the Rebbe and the Friedrich Rebbe are such a close relationship, like we don't really find by anybody else. It's also interesting that in Dar Shvi, people are all very confused what the avodah of Dar Shvi is. Yeah. There's a lot of confusion about what exactly is we don't have our stories to make. Are we putting on Solon? Do we still care about avodah?
It's taka. It's very interesting, the conversations that happen that like. Right.
Before we get to this, we need another sign.
Right. What about it is it about the Rebbe, like that? Because it seems very clear that.
For one, I don't have all the answers.
Right.
But
these are our yeah.
But this idea of Malchus and Yisoid, I think sheds that's pretty documented in Exodus. This idea that sheds a lot of light on why things are a little bit confusing. Where Malchus, where we don't less Lamegar Maklum, we don't have anything of our own. It's all receiving from the previous generations. And if we're coming up to a month, just over a month away from Bas Lagani, from Yud Shvat, where the Rebbe starts off. This is the new generation. This is our job. We didn't ask for it. We didn't want it. The whole Nasiya starts with so much bittul and humility and this. Right. We're receiving from previous generations this major giant task, not because we're the greatest.
The midgets and giant shoulders.
Correct. Specifically because we're the smallest, but we're the seventh. Very much fits into the whole Yisoid Malchus.
Right. So my theory is essentially that the Rebbe is relying on the fact, on that fact. So like it's very interesting looking at the thread of Ben Siavtsin. That he says about Mamarim Malukit. Like, if you're looking at the Rebbe's Mamarim and you think it's easy, it's like you got it all wrong. But the way I grew up was Adrabah. Like, I found the very geschmack. There's two ways you can learn the Maimer. There's a way you can learn the Maimer, which is officially the proper way, which is with the understanding of all the Mamarim that this Maimer is based on. The Rebbe is thinking that, relying on the fact that you learned these already. Why? Because they were already on the shelf. They were printed already for however long.
The Rebbe was really the one who printed everything.
I'm saying, but the Alter Rebbe said this, the Mittel Rebbe said this, the Tzemach Tzedek said this, and here we are, 50 years, 80 years, 100 years later, and I'm assuming you learned it already because it happened already. So based on all that you'll know, now let me add my own little spin on the whole thing and put it together and all these things. And then there's a way to learn it of just basic, this is what the Rebbe said. Yeah, the Rebbe brings from those Maimarim what's necessary for the Maimar, but so there's two ways to look at it. But again, the way Der Ashvi is, and that's why there's no huge emphasis on davening. There's no huge emphasis on
There is to some extent. I don't mean to take away from people who are doing.
No, right. But it wasn't like a thing that the Rebbe.
There was a way to be a chassid in good standing, even according to the Rebbe's standards.
Correct, and not be.
And if you're on shlichus and you're doing the work, you're doing the avodah. The Rebbe also said obviously you should be davening, and we're not taking away anything. If anything, we're adding, like we spoke. It could be a tzaddik. Everything's available to you.
The whole part of Yelchom Mechayel.
But there was a big emphasis on Maisa, on actual deed that we didn't find so much in previous generations.
Even the Frierdiker Rebbe was already the beginning of Maisa B'Poel, right? Mesiras Nefesh B'Poel Mamish. It didn't matter, right? The Chassidim in Russia, they weren't, not all of them were 100% Oivdim. They didn't all hours in davening and hours in learning, and yet they were big Chassidim because they literally gave up their lives.
I like the story of Itche the Masmid, that the Frierdiker Rebbe wanted him to teach like Aleph Beis or something. Simple things. He's a giant, a nigla in Chassidus. And he's, if you get correct me in the comments on the details here, but the way I recall the story was, he says, if you'll, do whatever, learn, you will not teach kinder, you won't be a school teacher, you'll be itcha, you'll be itcha. Aber nit meine. You want to be mine, you'll be itcha. It won't be my itch. You won't be mine. Which is already leaning into the Dar Shvi, this special kind of relationship that Chassidim of Dar Shvi have with the Rebbe more so than any other generation. That it's and some people are bothered by it, but it's we're infatuated with the Rebbe. It's not about this. It's about the Rebbe almost entirely. And it's like, well, why? Because he's the king. Malchus. He's the Melech, and we don't even know what that means. Like what? Because we don't have a king. We don't know what a king is. Like
going back to the beginning of this conversation, that Hey Tevis is about the Benkel, is about the chair, it's about the dynasty, it's about the king.
Oh, we're going back to this. Right. So this is what he say. So this comes this individual, and he says he didn't listen to our podcast. He didn't know what was up. Didn't understand the assignment, and he says, okay, if the guy was a great guy, for. And taking his stuff. And the Rebbe understood this as a war in heaven on the dynasty, that the Rebbe was not the rightful heir of the Chabad movement. Nobody is the rightful heir of the Chabad movement, and the Chabad movement is not active, Chman al-Itzlan, and it's all over. We're not doing anything. And this was more, and therefore we're able to take, he has inheritance, we're able to take his books. That's how it expressed itself practically. And to the Rebbe, this was the biggest deal ever. And the big chiddush came, the big victory, the big deal of Hey Tevis, and this ties very much into Mashiach, was that Judge Sifton.
You know the name?
There we go. City of Salem. A guy from the federal court. And, some people today are naysayers about paying too much attention to politics and what's going on in the Welt. But the Rebbe pretty consistently put a lot of prominence on things that happened in politics. If by the State of the Union, the president spoke about a certain thing, Benegay Hashem and whatever, like, I'm not saying everyone has to follow politics, but it's significant. It matters. We have to understand the world we live in is a spiritual world as well as a physical one. Like, there's an angel in heaven for America. Like, that is a real thing.
It's real. It's not a,
There was stuff going on in heaven when the president does something, makes a difference. He's not just some guy. It's a big deal. There's deep significance to it, to these things. So to have the federal judge come and say, the Frierdiker Rebbe is all the different things in the court case. The Frierdiker Rebbe is a man of such stellar character that if he said what he means to say, that a library belongs to a guch, there's no way he didn't actually mean it. Which, another side point, there are some people who when it comes to some of the things that Rebbe said later in his Nesias, after Mamches, after 1988, after the Rebbetzin passed away, they kind of don't really understand that whole part of the Rebbe's Nesias, the things that Rebbe did, like the Rebbe encouraging Yeshi, the types of Sikhs got very different than the ones before, much more holy, himmelish. The way the Rebbe spoke was different. It was very different.
It's coming out way more and saying
Everything kind of switched, and they didn't understand it too much. And they kind of say, like, the things that the Rebbe said before, those are established fact. And the Chama things afterwards, like, they don't hold the same, I don't know if people say it straight up, but, they don't hold the same validity. Let's stick to what we know for sure. This afterwards stuff, himmelish. Or it can't mean what it seems to say literally. There's some things that Rebbe says very clearly as a fact. For instance, we're in Yemei Mashiach. Fact. The Rebbe says that. Shmei stuff, Shmei Beis. Yemei Mashiach that we find ourselves in. Which just parenthetically, within the parenthetically, means that there's somebody who's B'chaskas Mashiach. He's not the Mashiach. We're not yet in the Gula times, but there's somebody who's Mashiach. Or the Rebbe says that, we have already somebody who's B'chaskas Mashiach. And he should heat up, and he should very soon become a Mashiach Vade. This is something, people say, well, what do you mean? The Mashiach has to do, he has to fight with the wars and swords and knives in order to be Mashiach. Either he already did it, or obviously not. Either way, it doesn't matter. The Rebbe says that Mashiach is winning the wars, and Dafka specifically Melchama Shalom in a peaceful war. But the Rebbe says earlier that this is what the Rebbe says here. You can take it to the bank. This is it. This is good. This is the Rebbe's edited sichas. You don't have to be worried about it. If the Rebbe says something, he means it. You can figure out what it means, and it's very important, and you'll make papulam and write it up, and the Rebbe was very big into doing that.
it's very interesting.
But that can't take away from the foundation. If the Rebbe says this and edited it and printed this, you can't be doubtful about it. This is if the judge was able to recognize about the Friedrich Rebbe that if he said something, you might, and even in a situation where you may think he had ulterior motives for saying it because of taxes or whatever the story was that this individual tried to claim, the judge recognized. You think the Friedrich Rebbe is going to say something and he's not going to mean it fully? He's just going to say it? Chaz v'shalom. And it's for sure the same thing by the Rebbe. The Rebbe says something and prints it and edits it to be read by the masses, to go doubt that the Rebbe really means that.
Right, I had a big fellow, like a big wonder how a person can say that the Rebbe didn't want it to be publicly known, something that was printed, that was checked over, that was muga, and that was printed in all these things. Something what the Rebbe said in 770 to the Chassidim, he didn't want everybody to know about it. Really? The Rebbe didn't want everybody to know about it? If the Rebbe didn't want everybody to know about it, everybody wouldn't know about it. The fact that it was printed, the fact that it was published, it wasn't just in the Kotei Sichos or Sefer Sichos. It was published in there was a magazines that they were putting the Sichos out. It's the Rebbe. What do you mean? The Rebbe didn't want it publicly known. It's literally
the fact that
the Rebbe allowed it to be printed and checked it over, and sent it to be printed.
It's a big deal.
That is that in itself. And then and like you said, when the Rebbe which is crazy, by the way.
The weeks in the end of there's
when the
Rebbe
Rebbe says to be mefarsim, it means that in addition to everything that you're doing already to be mefarsim, right? My sichas I know are already publicized. So what does it mean to publicize? It means to go above and beyond. Those things where you
get this message out,
correct, where you don't usually send it every week. Now, Davka, this thing.
This disclaimer, yes, you have to know the place where you live and the people who you're speaking to. It's your job to convey this message of the Rebbe in a way that will be accepted and understood and received properly by the people you're conveying it to. That's your job as a shliach, and every is a shliach in this regard. But the message got to get out there. You find the correct way and the correct media. Don't be scared by I can never say that. You can. This is another topic. I was speaking to some shluchim friends of mine recently for bringing, and so there was three shluchim. We're having a discussion. One is fired up. We're doing this. Mashiach, Rebbe, Yechi, all the way. Another one says. Sounds like a story in Gemara. Like three. One says, "What are you talking about? All the sichas. Why do you have to figure everything out? Why does everything have to make sense? Why do you have to make all the sichas into one big order before and after? This is what happened this week. This is what happened that week. All the sichas are holy. All the are good. Kulam kodeshim. You don't have to have you don't have to figure everything out. Just do mitzvahs and it'll all be good. Don't focus too much on this, on that." And a third one said, I have a whole different problem. You think that people are bothered, is the Rebbe Mashiach? They don't want to hear about Mashiach at all. The whole topic. They want to meditate. and they want to sit with their legs crossed and then focus on their breathing and whatever. They're very spiritual. They're souls, and they believe in God and their souls and everything. But they're very spiritual. Like if you ask them if they're Jewish to get or put on film, they're like incredibly offended. They're a whole different sort of people, he says, I cannot even imagine them being interested or talking to them about Mashiach. Like, there's so many worlds apart from that. I don't know why, but this is what he was saying from dealing with them. He can't imagine this working out. So these are points that need to be addressed. So the first shliach is doing great. Good job. The second one is something very interesting. People say, like, it doesn't all work. Like, what if it does work out? And what if it doesn't make sense? And what if they ever printed the stickers so we should understand them, not so we should ignore them and say we don't understand them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very interesting that the problem that people have.
We're all doing the weave today. We're all
now the problem that people have, at least my understanding, is that we put it in order, right? Like you say, there's an order. There's this sikha, that sikha. But it's very interesting because the whole history is in order. There's an order to history, right? Very generally, there's the 6,000 millennium each 1,000 years.
Yeah.
And then the Gemara splits them into three. There's Beis Alafim Tayu, Beis Alafim Teira, and Beis Alafim Mashiach. So already there, we see that the world is put in. There's an order. There's a seder in the world, right? Especially that we're living in Olam HaTikun. Right, a world of preparedness, whatever it's called. There's order. It's not chaos. There's order, right? So if there is order in general.
By the way, this whole podcast is just private jokes. Like every the whole thing. Yeah.
If there's already order to the world, why can't we put this in order also? Now, there's two types of ways to look at it. There's a way to look at it. There's an order, and then we can predict the future. That you can't do. Only the Rebbe can do, because the Rebbe is the only one that has those types that look.
The only people can say it with certainty.
Correct, with certainty. And then there's the way to do it as looking back. Looking back, we see this.
It's already happened.
Correct, what already happened. So, for example, I'll give you a very micro example of 9/11, for example. Right? No one was able to say, "Oh, tomorrow I'm going to wake up late." And then I'm going to miss I'm going to get stuck in traffic, and then the towers are going to fall, whatever. No one was able to do that because no one knew. I mean, but the people that woke up the next morning woke up late. They were all like, oh my gosh.
Busy by slichas and by...
Right. Worried, running out of slichas 5 minutes early because they don't want to get stuck in traffic, and they get stuck in traffic, and they're all sweating. They're going to get late. They're going to lose a lot of money. And then they find out later that they were saved. Looking back, now they're all looking at, oh my gosh, it's amazing, Hashgacha Pratis, that I did this and this and this, and this caused this, and now I didn't end up in the towers. So that's very micro. And so I think...
Imagine today, it wouldn't have been a problem. Everyone's working from home. Fatality is like the airplane people, like that's it.
But look,
we can't make jokes about 9/11. Very serious. Very serious. I'm really nishmas all the.
Amen. But the way to do it, and the way to especially live life now, is looking back at the way at things and seeing how it works. And the Rebbe did this. That's how the Rebbe did Tafshin Meis. The Rebbe wasn't saying that, oh, next week Mashiach is going to be revealed. 2 weeks later we're going to have the table set, and then no, the Rebbe was talking about the Kvar. The Rebbe was talking about what already happened. Looking back, this is what happened already, and so that's why we're able to put it in an order. We're able to go back and fashion a whole story, a whole picture, print a whole picture, and that's we mentioned it already a few times in the past episodes. But Rabbi Wolf from Mayan Israel, he does this. He goes back and he shows you how all these things, and he gives you dates and how it works perfectly. Like, for example, Hey Teves, we're just there. Apparently, he gives a whole thing from the Midrash, the Midrash Rabbah, that the ruach of a certain river, spring came to...
Rebbe spoke about the Midrash.
Yeah, I'm saying, Rebbe spoke about the Midrash, yeah, but he goes back and he talks about the Midrash, and he talks about it in order. Midrash says that there's a spirit that comes to Rabbi Yossi, and he says... there's another spirit that's trying to take my thing, my shetach, you know. And it tells Rav Yossi to come with the Yidden, with pots and pans, banging, whatever, Didan Natzach, and until
see blood on you see
until you see blood, and
sign that you know that,
right. So he goes and he said, and makes a whole explanation about how Hey Tevis, like you were saying, like if you're looking at Begashmi as whatever, like I hear the time, like Barry, he has in Das Tachten there is a like it's not that crazy. The Rebbe was to say blowing it out of proportion, but which means that Hey Teves is so much more than just the books. It's about the bank, like we said, like we started. It's about a ruchnis dika inyan, something of spirit, the ruch shel Mashiach, as he says. So he explains the whole thing about how the Rebbe's whole thing is fighting against the opposite ruach, the ruach that is coming to try to take away from the ruch shel Mashiach, from his shetach, from his, I'm king of the world. Mashiach is coming to bring the Geula to the world. That's his whole thing. And another ruach, another spirit is trying to come and take it away with the Didan Natzach. Anyways, so it's very interesting because he says, and he brings it connected to
Napoleon.
To Napoleon, right? That the Alter Rebbe, the Rebbe says that the Alter Rebbe, when the Napoleon's march, he asked about what song they sing. So they sang the song, and the Alter Rebbe heard the song, leaned on his stick, and said, "Seif kol seif et zayin." He
said it's taka a mark of victory.
And
he said seif kol seif will be Didan Natzach.
Right. So he connects it, and he says that Alter Rebbe started already that Napoleon was the Tzad Keneged was the opposite force of, so to speak, of Malchus Beis David, the Alter Rebbe, and was trying to get rid of was trying to bring freedom.
He said that he first went to Eretz Yisrael. He first wanted to conquer.
Eretz Yisrael.
Yeah.
Right. He was trying to bring freedom in the Sitra Achra way, in the Gimel Kapos Atmeis, to be freedom.
Not being subjugated to Hashem,
but freedom from
religion.
From religion.
The opposite of Mashiach's job.
Right. So he brings it, and that was the first. That was the after the Midrash, then the Didan Natzach of the Alter Rebbe, and then the Rebbe's Didan Natzach. That it's fighting a spiritual battle, fighting what's the word, not philosophical, but
metaphysical,
idealistic, whatever battle, whatever. Ideological battle. So he says that he goes to another thing about how we know Damascus is the spiritual opposite of the Mikdash, and he says that the military leader of Iran, that was the whole mastermind of the whole fight against the Eretz Yisrael having Yerushalayim and having the Beis HaMikdash, the Makam HaMikdash, was Qassam Soleimani. And what did he say? He said that the day that Qassam Soleimani was killed was Hey Teves, 2017, I believe, or 2020 maybe. One of the years Donald Trump was president, Hey Teves was the death of the Qassam Soleimani. So just like that was just an example, but putting everything into perspective of dates and years and how it works, and it's just amazing. So so a shliach comes and says, "Why are you making it a whole thing?" What do you mean why? Because how do I know what mashlichus is? What's my mission? What am I supposed to be doing now? The way you know what to be doing now is you look back, right? How can I know where I'm going if I don't know where I'm coming from?
Wise words,
yeah. What's the vart? The vart is you're going down a path, you're traveling, and then you see a fork in the road, and the signs that are going to each side is on the floor. How are you supposed to know which way is the sign pointing to? So you lift it up, you know where you came from, so that is going that way, and then everything else works. When you have a picture of what happened with the past, when you have a picture of the past, when you have the past, quote unquote, clear, you have a clear derech. So you now know where to go.
What you shouldn't do is throw it all up and say it doesn't matter.
Correct. That's the worst thing to do.
I'll just give you an example from this week of something that you might say, oh, it's too complicated, forget it, or you can try to figure it out. So I'm learning the Sikha, and the Rebbe says there, the second to last paragraph of the Yigash Nun Beis, they were talking about the Sfarim being freed, and the Rebbe said, together with the Sfarim, all the Nitzitzes should be also elevated. So right away, it's like, whoa.
Hello.
Didn't we say in Vayishlach, just a few weeks before, more than that, but there was very clear that the Avodah of Birudim is entirely finished. Rebbe says unequivocally, it could not be clear that the Avodah of Birudim is entirely finished. There is no more Avodah Birudim for us to do. That's not our Avodah anymore. So you might say, obviously it's complicated. Hey, you see here, make sense of it. You're not the Rebbe. Just do Torah mitzvahs. Blah, blah, blah. Or
Yeah.
you say, I'm no Kabbalist. You want to be mechabetim, birudim, and etc. Maybe, I don't know. What I do know is that it works out. I know Vayishlach, true. The Rebbe said it, clear. We don't take it back. We're done. Clear instructions to us that we have now not avodas haberudim, avodim milchedes. What is the Rebbe saying, perhaps, in Vayigash? So first of all, it doesn't perturb me. First of all, that everyone agrees. You don't have to get perturbed. Either because you don't care or because you want to figure it out. Either way.
Okay.
Don't be perturbed. Don't get confused. Don't let it affect anything else you have going. The aside is you got to have. You say, hey, here it says what our avodah is. Our avodah is not anymore to purify, to separate these, and say these sparks, elevate them to their source. Here it's saying that these sparks need to be elevated. Now, what does that mean? You look also in the same Sikh, the Rebbe says that our job now is to bring this reality of Mashiach, that really we finished the Avodah of already. And the Rebbe says it could be even, we've already taken ourselves out of our spiritual galus. That we've personally elevated ourselves, which this is always the big thing, that when we come out of our galus,
personal Mashiach.
The Rebbe is saying, it could be we even did that already. There's still a job left of really bringing down this reality of Geula into the coarseness, which we turn into physicality, chumrius, into the gashmius of this world, to really properly, really integrate it fully in a revealed sense in the world. That's really key. And so you see what kind of sikha the Rebbe is saying here. What perspective is coming from? So again, like I said, I'm no Kabbalist, but it would seem to me that there's something, the avodah of separating and elevating the sparks of the already, but in full actual reality, they still need to be, there's something missing that it's not our job to do it, but there's something, just like we've already done the avodah of galus that Rebbe told us, we finished it already, and yet there's something remaining that has to be accomplished. It's Mashiach's fault, it's Hashem's fault, whatever. We're not pointing fingers here, but it's not that we didn't finish our galus avodah, we did. Okay. And yet there's something remaining for us to do to try to fix it. Same thing here. The Rebbe saying, through us buying the Sfarim, and the Rebbe saying, through the Sfarim being released, and us buying Sfarim, which affects that the Sfarim from Russia should still get released. The Sfarim should all get released. That will affect that in the States we'll all reach their proper home. We'll all go to the correct address. Okay, so you see, there's different things that all make or find a different explanation. Whatever. Not so much the point.
Yeah, the point is that you need to have...
It works out. Don't let it schwach up the things that have clear instructions.
You should have it clear. You should, first of all, this notion that you shouldn't have anything clear is ludicrous.
Why would that be a thing?
The fact that you're on shlichus means that you have something clear. What's clear? That
you have a job. You have a mishalech.
Correct. That there's a mission. There's a Rebbe that sent you on that mission, and these are what you think is the mission statement, and these are the goals that you have to accomplish. These are the things you have to accomplish. You have to put on tefillin as many yidden as you meet, menorah, all these things. So you have something clear, right? Just this is like the foundation of everything. If this is not clear to you, right? Like it says, this is the foundation of your belief, one of the fundamentals. You have to have this clear, so to speak. If not, then what is Judaism to you? Anyways, so that's
as far as that's concerned.
Yeah.
And my other friend, who he says
spirituality.
It's like I can't talk to these guys. No, I don't know his guy, so I can't talk personally to them.
So as soon as you said this, it reminded me of the interview that we did with the couple.
Feldman?
Yeah, Feldman. Miriam Merkel.
Great episode. Highly recommend.
Yes,
10 out of 10.
And she said, we asked her, what was it about Mashiach? She's like, what do you mean? I wanted
this fixes everything. Saving all the whales.
Correct. That was her thing. Her thing was saving the whales. And so this was just a way to save the whales.
I would think it fits right in with these guys.
So for me, it's like, what do you mean? If anything, Mashiach is the most spiritual thing.
Whatever angle you're coming from, Mashiach is there.
First of all. And second of all, it makes the most sense spiritually.
For sure.
Because, and first of all, it works the most with the sikhs. I think everybody can agree that at the basic level, all the sikhs of Tafshin Av, Tafshin Beis is 100% true spiritually. 100%. There's
The only question is, are they true in our reality down here in this world?
Correct. But I think everybody can agree that in some spiritual sense, all those things are true. Mashiach are in the world, Bezgalos, we're sitting by the Tish with the Leviathan, Sharabar, we finish Avodas HaBirurim. All these things are spiritual. And the tzaddik thing, all these levels that you can attain with your avodah are also the yichud ma'uban. All these things are of the spirit. So I think if I was in those shoes and I would have to talk to people that are spiritual, I would meditate on these concepts. I would meditate on the concept that the Messiah is in
of
the
a world transformed of all these things.
Find the nitzitz of Mashiach Shabai. Find your Messiah inside and bring it out. And how do you do that? By being kind, by doing acts of goodness and kindness, by doing mitzvahs. Adrabah, lighting Shabbos candles, spiritual. Putting on tefillin, spiritual. Like
it's all, yeah.
It's so you said something very geschmack. Likus is as far away from spirit.
Right, godliness is as distant from spirituality as it is from physicality.
And it works the other way also. It's as close to spirituality as physicality.
One might say a little bit closer to physicality at the end of the day.
Yeah.
But to this has so many layers. And the point is, God created both of them.
But this is...
Baslagani.
Yeah. But I'm saying this is, I think, what is so fascinating and for me so compelling. There was going around today, what top 5 books that you should buy or top 10, whatever. Yeah. And like... Chitas, Shulchan Aruch, Tanya, Lekutei Sichos, Sefer HaSichos, Mishnayos, Gemara, all these things. There's so many svarim out there.
B'suras HaGeula, Sefer HaSichos, Tavshin Aleph, Chelek Aleph and Beis, and Beis, Aleph and Beis, $5.
$5.
Right there.
Whatever. No, but it's so fascinating. Nobody says that. Nobody said Sefer HaSichos, Tavshin Aleph. Why not? Nobody says B'suras HaGeula.
It goes without saying.
First of all, I mean,
someone have that already.
Someone did say it, and then there was a whole. What do you mean? Not even top 10. Anyways, but that is the foundation of everything. If without that, what do we have? Right. This goes back to the question of the whole milchama of Kagan and Benkel. That what was the whole problem? Because what Barry was saying was putting into question everything. What do you mean? Look around. What, Barry was right that Chabad wasn't doing anything? That there was? What do you mean? The Rebbe was fetish. The Rebbe had chassidim. The Rebbe was sending out shlochim. The Rebbe was doing all these things.
He took spirituality all out of it and said it's all very on paper. He was a person. He lived, and now it's over.
And so without my worry is that without Mashiach, without B'suras HaGeula, what do you have? What do you really have? Nothing.
It gets all very confusing. And then he becomes scared of thinking about it or asking too many questions because the whole thing comes down like a house of cards. What is our shlichus right now? Why didn't Mashiach come? Hold it. So what are we doing now? So you just say more.
Who's here?
Another mitzvah. It's very safe. And that's it. And I don't want to think about it too much.
You're just going through motions.
I'll finish off with this. So Shulech asked me today to give him a Mashiach share in his Chabad house.
Nice.
It was very nice. So I could talk for some first-hand experience just today. And, you might think, coming from the outside, if you've never tried it before, really talking to your guys about Mashiach, they're going to ask questions, it's going to be scary, it's uncomfortable. Let me tell you, people are open, people want to hear it. All these questions that you're worried about yourself, they're so not a real problem in real life. Is there a Mashiach? Yes, obviously, of course. Like it's that's not a difficult thing. If you're a Chabad and you're about that, like nobody's bothered by it. Like it's organic. It's a lot less confrontational than you sitting in the back of 770 cursing each other out and like as Bachram. Like it's not the same. It's very normal. It's very organic. You talk about Mashiach, you can talk about this. I mean, you got to explain it to them, obviously, on their terms. You got to talk in things that are meaningful to them. And that, that's the job of like any speaking. That's how it works. You're being with people. But people are open, hearing. Of course, they're asking me, about October 7th, like, how does this fit into it? And explain. Yeah, we're talking about how for sure that there's Chavle Mashiach. The Rebbe says it's a reality that it's over. Yeah.
And as Abu Rebbe said, he got a fax from you that Chavle Mashiach Tamu. He says he wants to know that it's by feeling also, not just on paper.
Yeah, it is not only a feeling; it is a reality.
And there's no excuses for Hashem, and we don't need any. But yet the Shliach was saying, anything that does happen, part of the Geula process. Nothing needs to happen. We don't need any bad things. Mashiach has to come. But yeah, anything that happens, part of the Geula process, transforming the world. Open your eyes. People are thirsty to hear this. It makes so much sense. It explains that this is the reality going on. And so there's no one. You cannot say that. Oh, my guys aren't ready for this. That is your entire job, to make them ready, to get the people in your town ready to greet Mashiach. This is the mission. And the Rebbe says this mission applies to every single Jew without exception. That means there's a way to get it across. It might seem difficult. I know some people in the Frum community who are very difficult. But there's a way to do it. The Rebbe is telling us this is the mission, this is the task. We can do it. Let's not give up. Let's do it. Si se puede, right?
Si se puede.
L'chaim d'bracha, Dida Notzach, the victory is ours. You have to know you won already.
Amen. Dida Natzach.
Dida Notzach.
ועד כדי כך המדבר גולהוב der עם soll machri sein, יחי המלך.